morning, Vikes. I'm track czar Charlie Zahner.
And I'm the voice, face, and lifeblood of Huntington North, tennis legend and track superstar Michael Henderson. You're watching HNHS Today for Wednesday, April 12th.
Make sure to stop in the food services office to pick up your March Madness participation prize.
Last year's yearbooks are available to pick up in room 114. Also, seniors may go to their Class of Canvas page to fill out a form about you and your high school experience for a chance to be featured in the 2022-2023 yearbook. Your senior quote and senior superlative nominations are also available and can be found on your Class of Canvas page.
Now let's go to weather with Parker.
Good morning, Vikes. This is Parker here with your weather today. As you can see here, absolutely beautiful day with not a cloud in the sky, high of 77 with a low of 49. So you get a south wind around 15-25 miles an hour, which means we will have an elevated fire risk today. So if you are burning anything, either that be leaves or whatnot, just be mindful of having some water around. As you can see here this weekend, rest of this week, absolutely beautiful. Multiple days in the upper 70s. You can see this weekend, we could encroach almost 80 degrees both Friday and Saturday. As you can see, as we go to the next week, a cold front will move through, and then later on the next week, we could see a couple changes for snow showers, but models haven't been too consistent on that. As you can see here, this is the GFS model for this week. As you can see here, some showers moving through this week and later on. And you can see this low end, back of the slow comes in, punches cold air in. Now, it hasn't been too consistent on us getting snowfall, but there is an odd shot that if we do get cold enough, some of these snow showers you can see there could be rain/snow showers or a mix of both, as you can see here. But regardless, we will warm up back into next week. We could have several days again in the 70s late next week. The temps here for this week, as you can see here, going to be multiple days, very warm, very sunny days as well. Almost like a summer type pattern we'll see here. As you can see here, this low begin to bomb out through. You can see that cold air push will come back in here, and that's when we'll see, most of the heavier cold air will stay off, just off to our east over here in the Ohio/Northeast regions as well. But regardless, can see, like I said, a couple days, and maybe the upper 30s as well, regardless. But we will begin more next week as well, into next weekend in the upper 70s again. Again, cold air pushing back in there. But see, this is the elevated fire risk this week. Well, I guess for today, I should say, Wednesday. Up through Huntington County and through parts south, you should be fine. But again, off to the further western portions of our watch area and down to the southeast here near Jake County, you have a higher risk for just some isolated fire spread just because of the dry grounds we've had and the high winds today. Regardless, hope you guys get out there, enjoy that sun, and let's go back to the desk.
Now on to sports with Ethan Doctor.
Thanks, Parker. It was a busy week for the Vikings as both the track and baseball team were in action. On Thursday, the boys and girls track team competed against Marion, with both coming away with victories. The boys coming away with a score of 116-68, and the girls coming away with a score of 99-74. Some top finishers for the boys were the 400-meter team of Braden Vaught with a time of 51.69 seconds, and Tony Decker with the time of 53.74 seconds, with both finishing in the top two. The boys also had a strong showing from 800-meter team, with the top finishers being Dom Lesnikia placing second with a time of 2 minutes 17 seconds, Jake Stevens placing fifth with a time of 2 minutes 24 seconds, and Keegan Price with a time of 2 minutes 25 seconds. The Vikes would also go on to win the 110-meter hurdles behind a strong showing from senior Micah Plemons, who had a clock time of 16.51 seconds. Plemons would go on to also win the 300-meter hurdle with a time of 43.51 seconds. The boys 4x100 relay team of Noah Wagner, Micah Plemons, Braden Christiansen, and Tatum Brooks placed first with a time of 45.78 seconds, but the Vikes weren't done there, as the 4x400 relay team would place first with a time of 3 minutes and 47 seconds. The boys were back in action last night. We'll have those results for you next week. The girls' track team also came away with a victory Thursday, with Heather Gaynor placing third in the 100 meters with a time of 14.5 seconds. Elise Geiger placing third in the 200 meters with a time of 29.84. Cameron Working and Hayden Miller would place second and third in the 400 meter with times of 1 minute 13 seconds and 1 minute 14 seconds. Ella Colcluster would win 800 meters with a time of 2 minutes 43 seconds and win the 1600 meter with a time of 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Reagan Double would win the 100 meter hurdles and with a time of 18.82 seconds and the 300 hurdles with a time of 55.2 seconds. The girls' 4x400 relay team of Elise Geiger, Ella Colcluster, Ella McDonald, and Gracie Fields placed first with a time of 4 minutes 29 seconds. The girls were also in action last night. We will also have those results for you next week. The baseball team was also in action last weekend as they took a road trip down to Lafayette. The Vikes would play 3 games, coming away winners in each, with final scores of 4-2 against Lafayette. Jack Eckert would record the win, while Cole Martz recorded the save for the Vikes. The Vikes would continue the hot hand as they would go on to beat Harrison 5-4. Wes Huff would be on the mound for the Vikings, recording the win, while Marcus Linker was credited with the save. And then in a shootout, the Vikes would go on to play McCutcheon. Sam Stroy would be on the mound for the Vikes last game, and no save would be recorded in this one. The boys were back playing home last night, and we will have those results for you next week. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Ethan. Here's this week's Teacher Spotlight.
Hi, I'm Mr. Matt Stevenson, and this is my 21st, I believe, year teaching here at Huntington North, and I teach math, and I teach geometry, I teach some algebra, and I teach some upperclassmen in pre-trig and probability and statistics. What got me into teaching was, first of all, I've always enjoyed math, and when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to teach some of my peers by directing a play when I was in high school, and I really, really enjoyed that, and I found out that I just enjoyed teaching people things that I felt like I knew something about, and so, I had the option, I guess, am I going to teach math or am I going to try to teach theater? And I'm not a big English fan, and I knew if I taught theater, I'd have to teach English or language arts, and that just isn't in the books for me. So teaching math is how I got into this. I teach at Huntington North because, first of all, I love this community and I really like the people here. And after being here 20 plus years, you're just part of the community. You enjoy the people here. But the reason I came here is my senior year at college at Purdue University. Boiler up. My senior year at Purdue, I had the opportunity to be interviewed by one of our administrators here at the high school. And it was Mrs. Chris Toish, some of you might know who that is. And when she interviewed me, I came up here and then I remembered, oh wait, I have a teacher, a former teacher that is one of the principals here, and he was actually the head principal at that time. When I was a junior, he moved up here to become an assistant principal, and by the time I got around to becoming here, he was the head principal, and that was Mr. Ken Klein. So shout out to Mr. Klein for getting me here. I have 2 major hobbies that I spend all my additional time outside of school doing. My first one would be Lego collecting, and I have a huge Lego collection at home. I have a Lego room, and I have probably close to 500,000 Lego elements. They're not called Legos, by the way, so stop using that word. But yeah, I have a rather large collection. So that's my first hobby. I just need to be alone and not deal with people hobby. My other hobby, which is very much out there, is I love theater, like I've kind of already said. So I do a lot of acting. I work down at Pulse Opera House at least, probably twice a year at least. I've worked in Fort Wayne doing that as well. So I just love acting, and I like directing as well. And then I've directed some plays here at the high school, but I kind of gave that up because I found my real passion is being on the stage. So, Mr. Bean, for those of you who walk by my room, you see Mr. Bean peeking out from the window. So Mr. Bean, the man who plays him is Rowan Atkinson, and he is my comedic idol. I love Rowan Atkinson. He is so funny. He can make people laugh without saying a single word. So if you've never seen the Mr. Bean television show, it used to be on PBS back in the day when I was in probably junior high and high school. It's just good stuff. So the reason I have that though is we had a neighbor, or a friend of ours who had a neighbor, they had a Mr. Bean cutout standing outside of like on their front porch, I believe. And I kept telling my wife, I want one of those, I want one of those. So I believe it was like 2 years ago, I walked in here to do some work before school started. And I walked down to the office and there was this giant box in the office. And Mrs. Armstrong goes, here's a package for you. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I open it up and my wife had sent me a Mr. Bean cutout. So I love it, absolutely love it. Any words of inspiration for students who are wanting to take my class or going to take my class is work hard and do the best that you possibly can. Nobody's going to be perfect, and the main thing is that you try. You will never be successful if you never give it a shot. So if you're willing to try, you will do a decent job, but it all comes down to how hard are you willing to work. So.
The last blood drive for this school year will be on April 28th. If you are 16 years old and picked up a permission slip, make sure to return it to the clinic ASAP so you can be put on the schedule. Let's help save a life.
Blaine has a movie review.
So today I wanted to review the Super Mario movie from Nintendo and Illumination. So if you're looking for a very deep and intellectual movie, you're not going to find it here. This is called the Super Mario movie. It's about Super Mario, and usually the plot of Mario is very surface level, and that's what you're going to get here watching a movie, especially made by Illumination, because they are known for making kids movies. And that's what this movie is. You're not going to get anything more than a kids movie. Another thing I want to highlight is the action, along with the 2D platformer scenes. The action in the movie is incredible, especially the Mario Kart scene that you've seen in the trailers. That scene was absolutely incredible. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I think, and it's just very fun to watch. There are some scenes at the end that are also very cool that I thought were breathtaking, because the movie itself is not that deep, but the action, I think, is worth it, and it's one of the highlights of the film. One criticism that the movie had before it came out was that Chris Pratt cannot do the Mario voice. I'm actually glad to say that he does an excellent job. I think he blows it out of the water, especially the first scene he's in. They have that commercial that they used for the Super Bowl, and they did the actual Mario voice, and it was excellent. And I'm kind of mad they didn't use it the entire time, because it was really good. Him and Charlie Day did an excellent job. But if we're talking about performance, I really want to talk about Jack Black, because Jack Black steals the show in every scene he's in. He was born to play Bowser, because he does an excellent job. His kind of story arc in the movie, like the only one and the best one, and I think that he really drives the movie forward and makes it more interesting than what it would have been. And then moving on, this is a problem that Illumination has, and it's probably compounded with the fact that Nintendo is providing the budget for the movie, was that a lot of there was a lot of montages where you'd see some stuff happen instead of something interesting, where they would just be traveling and there's some top of the charts music playing, which it's not the worst problem you have in a movie, but it definitely feels cheap, like they didn't really care. It kind of felt like they just had the movie planned out and then they just wrote the script around the movie, which in my opinion is kind of lazy. My final review is I'm gonna give this movie a solid 7 out of 10, just because I think it goes either way. If you're watching this movie and you love Mario, you're probably gonna give it a 10. But if you watch this movie and you don't like Mario, you're probably giving it a 4. So I'm just gonna go right in between there and give it a 7. And that's it, so let's take it right back to the desk.
You may have received a pass yesterday. This is because the class you take is offering dual credit through Purdue Fort Wayne.
Make sure that you bring a pass to the auditorium for an important meeting regarding dual credit that is happening right now.
Let's have a fantastic rest of the week, folks.
Tune in next week for an exclusive interview with Mr. Butler. See you then.
This one is from my one and only true love, Princess Peach. Peach, you're so cool. And with my star, we're gonna rule. Peach, understand. I'm gonna love you till the very end. Peaches, 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 peaches.